Transformers Devastation, released on October 6th in 2015, developed by Platinum Games and published by Activision. Right away we can see the game is designed off the original Generation 1 aesthetic, but where exactly did this game fit? Megatron has found out that an ancient Cybertronian ship is buried under an Earth city. He plans on seizing control of the ship to give him the edge in the Cybertronian civil war taking place on Earth between the Autobots and the Decepticons. As fate would have it, the ship is called the Proud Star, which is a cyberforming or terraforming ship which is designed to transmute the atmosphere of the target planet into that of Cybertron, by deploying Insecticons to alter the planet and its life into an environment which only supports Cybertronian life. So bad news if you're a human, I suppose. As you play through the campaign, you learn that the Proud Star actually belonged to the Great Nova Prime and was launched prior to the events of the Civil War, and was Cybertron's failsafe just in case a cataclysmic event happened, which would render Cybertron uninhabitable. As such, the Proud Star carries all of the data stores of Cybertronian pre-war culture and environmental data, almost like a copy of Cybertron ready to be pasted onto another planet. The ship is powered by a computer engine called the Pharotaxis, which is the engine that performs the planet-scale copy and paste function. Now, the Autobots are wanting to wrestle the control of the Proud Star from Megatron and the Decepticons without losing the data, in the hopes that they might be able to use it to restore Cybertron to its former glory.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
You are only able to play Transformers Devastation from the Autobot perspective, which makes the story pretty one-sided. The opening level will rotate you through some of the playable characters, but the full roster is Optimus Prime, Grimlock, Sideswipe, Wheeljack, and Bumblebee. Transformers Devastation is a hack and slash game with a Transformers twist and is broken into chapters for the story. Each chapter has several stages. As you complete the stages, you are graded per stage on the damage you dealt versus the damage you took and the overall time it has taken you to complete said stage. As you dispatch your way through Decepticons, they will drop two different types of Energon cubes. Blue cubes are for ammunition for your ranged weapons, while green cubes restore your health. With combat, I found myself leaning towards melee over ranged weaponry purely because it is very easy to run out of ammo in the middle of a fight, so I would deal with my enemy variants up close and personal with melee, only using ranged weaponry when I was dealing with enemies of the flying variety and I needed to pull them down to the ground. Once you have landed a combo, you will be quickly prompted to tap the transform button, which for me was the right bumper, which follows up the combo with a quick vehicle attack to stack on some additional damage to your opponents. If you time it right, you can also use the same button that transforms you to perform a dodge, which will slow down time for a couple of seconds, allowing you to enter focus mode to get in a few more hits or to get out of the range of an attack if you're up against a harder enemy. The enemy variants you will encounter through the game are broken down into ground and air units, and as you progress further into the main story of the game, the variants get stronger and larger. Some enemies will come equipped with a shield, and these guys are the only real time you need to think about changing your approach to combat, as the only way to break through the shield defense is to change into vehicle form and drive at them at full speed, and just before you hit them, you hit the melee button to transform and punch through the shield. When you are not engaged in combat, you can transform when you like into your vehicle mode to move around the map that much faster. Some areas and levels will be blocked with doors, which can be opened with enough melee attacks, and sometimes you will need to dodge automatic door defenses to engage focus mode or break through a shield, much in the same way you would do to a shield enemy. As you're exploring the level or moving to the next stage within the chapter, you will find chests and hidden caches underground or on a switch, which will be exposed for a limited amount of time. To open the chests, you need to mash the melee attack to open the chests, which will drop Energon cubes, money, and weapons. Weapons in Transformers Devastation are interchangeable, as is your chosen character. You can only do this though when you go to a green marker on the minimap to indicate that you can return to the Arc and change out your character. The Arc offers the ability to synthesize weapons and level up their damage output for some of the money you collect as you have been playing through the chapter. Just make sure you have a character in mind before you upgrade the weapon, because only certain weapons can be equipped by certain characters, which is indicated on the weapon screen for who can equip it. While you're in the Ark, you can put Wheeljack's engineering abilities to work to create upgrades for you, like critical damage bonus and weapon drop bonus, to give you the additional edge throughout the game. If you're doing this, it will open up a mini game of sorts with a slider. If you get the slider in the orange area, you have successfully made a great part. If you miss, Wheeljack gets it wrong, and the part he ends up creating is of lesser quality. What I found myself doing the most is tipping all the money I earned into ranking up my chosen character, and for me it had to be Optimus Prime because, well, he's kind of my childhood hero, making him stronger and giving him a much more robust health pool in which to battle. As you're playing through the game, you'll meet a host of iconic Decepticon enemies, with the likes of Starscream, Soundwave, Thundercracker, Blitzwing, and of course the mighty Megatron. And that's all well and good, but...
Oh, how it pains me to do this!
The issue with the game is that you have to mindlessly slaughter your way through a bunch of generic Decepticons, and the battles and gameplay are rinse and repeat as you make your way through each chapter. The only time you get a bit of respite from the mindless onslaught is where you have to get red Energon cubes to annihilate a locked door, or you are within the Proud Star itself and you are using a turret to annihilate swarms of Insecticons flying at you. The only real reason you would continue to grind your way through the mind-numbing combat of chapters is if you are a hardcore, dedicated Generation 1 fan. And the game plays to this too by bringing back the voices of Peter Cullen and Frank Welker to resume their iconic roles as Optimus Prime and Megatron. The game does throw in the legendary Devastator, and then you'll have to fight the Constructicons singularly and then in groups, and Devastator a few more times, which was a bit of fun, but again, there's no real change in the bland and basic combat of dodge, attack, repeat. The game tries to get a bit more complicated later by adding in Menasor to the mix, but Menasor's presence doesn't really add up. While you see and race with Motormaster, you don't actually interact with any of the other Stunticons within the game, so all you can really do is assume that they are hanging around waiting to combine. The other issue I had is with how the Autobots actually played, and in particular Grimlock. If you're a G1 fan, you know Grimlock isn't the brightest spark, but he more than makes up for that in his muscle, and it can be argued that he is stronger than both Optimus and Megatron themselves. What I don't understand is how the hell, when he is in Dino mode, can he keep up pace with cars? He's built for torque, not speed.
Me Grimlock kick butt!
Outside of Optimus, and before I go on, yes, I am biased to Optimus, the other failing here is Bumblebee. He doesn't have any melee weapon equipped, just his fists, and for a much smaller bot, I can accept the fact that he won't do as much damage, which is true in the game, but I would expect him to be fairly nimble, but he isn't. I found playing as Bumblebee to be really sluggish and not a great experience at all. Sideswipe, on the other hand, is at least extremely fast, as you would expect from a Cybertronian who was originally modelled after a Ferrari, so that's something. And if I'm really being picky here, and I'm going to be, the game is referencing the 1986 movie, especially when it comes to Optimus and how he will play a pivotal role in ending the Cybertronian War, but not being able to see it. Which, yeah, that's kinda cool, but what that implies is that this game is taking place prior to the movie, and if you're a fan of Generation 1 Transformers, you know Megatron is completely wrong. During the course of this era of Transformers, Megatron was a gun. Specifically, a Walther P-38. Megatron wasn't seen as a tank until 1987, when Marvel Comics teamed Transformers and G.I. Joe together. So clearly, the story writers and developers didn't do their homework here. Personally, I was hoping for something a bit more than this. Maybe do away with the hordes of generic enemies and throw some decent puzzles into the mix. Maybe you had to tail Thundercracker without him realizing you are there and catch him unaware. Or logic puzzles to track down Shockwave on Cybertron. There was a real missed opportunity here to really put Generation 1 fans in the world they grew up watching and give us control to experience what it might have been like in that universe. But if you don't mind a mindless hack and slash game and are a devout Transformers Generation 1 fan, then you're probably going to enjoy the experience that Transformers Devastation has to offer. And while I can say I did enjoy the story, the overall combat was just dull and repetitive. Even the named Decepticon battles were generic fights which don't really offer that much thought process behind the combat. I found myself getting very bored quickly, and the only thing that was keeping me going was the story, but only just.